I synchro summon Junk Gardener in defense mode.
Synchro what?
Synchro summon.
What summon?
Synchro summon.
What?
Synchro summon.
Oh, what's that?
So this video is going to be discussing the special types of monsters. Last time was the basics of the game and basic monsters. Now if you remember, I went over 4 types of monsters that were special. Those monsters were fusion monsters, ritual monsters, synchro monsters, and exceed monsters. Now in order to talk about these monster types, I have to go over a few things. First, the extra deck, where most of these monsters reside. An extra deck is a deck of 15 cards. All 15 of these cards are either exceed, synchro, or fusion, or some combination of the 3. There need to be 15 cards in this side extra deck. Also of note that the summoning of all of these creatures are considered special summons. None of these are normal summons. A fusion summon, an exceed summon, a synchro summon, and a ritual summon are all different types of summons, but they are all also classified as special summons. Last to note is that all the rules that I tell you now are subject to change as they are written on the card. Some cards go about summoning themselves differently. That's to be expected. But as a general rule, this is how you do all of these sorts of summoning. Now as far as breaking rules, fusion monsters have a tendency of doing it the most, as they are the oldest of the extra deck type monsters, and for a while the extra deck was called the fusion deck. Fusion monsters are special summoned through specific cards. The most notable or the most basic is polymerization. This was the only way to fusion summon for a considerable amount of time. Some other cards work specifically with different types of monsters or different groups of monsters. Things like Miracle Synchro Fusion or Dragon's Mirror are different cards to fusion summon, but they require specific types of creatures to do the summoning. Other cards like Future Fusion can work just like polymerization, but have different positives and negatives about them. Fusion creatures will state on the card what creatures are used to fusion summon them. The most basic will specifically state the name of the creatures on the bottom of the card. So Arcana Knight Joker requires Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight, and King's Knight, those 3 creatures specifically. Other fusion monsters will be a little more lenient. So Elemental Hero Absolute Zero requires 1 hero monster, so 1 monster with hero in its name, and 1 water monster, so 1 other monster with a water element. Ritual monsters are the only one of these special types of monsters that reside in your normal deck. Ritual monsters are blue monsters that have a corresponding ritual card attributed to them. Ritual summon spells require you to discard from your hand or the field a number of monsters equal to or greater than their combined star level to that of the ritual monster. So Divine Grace here has 7 stars. So when I play her ritual spell card, I need to, from the field or hand or combination of both, send that many monsters to the graveyard whose combined star level equals or exceeds 7 stars. So if I have a Mystic Tomato and a Rose Warrior whose combined stars are 8, I can send them both to the graveyard. There's no refunds on rank, you merely get your ritual summon. Now ritual monsters do live in your normal deck, but they need to be ritual summoned first. If this card is discarded from my hand to the graveyard, I cannot then say use Monster Reborn to bring it back. It needs to be ritual summoned first. If it was ritual summoned first and then destroyed and put in the graveyard, I could use Monster Reborn to bring it back. It merely needs to be ritual summoned first in order for that to occur. Synchro summons also refer to the level of the cards. However, there's no spell card needed for them. Instead, you need a specific type of monster. Rose and Crabons are those types of monsters, where at the bottom of the monster, next to its type, we'll say tuner. So this is warrior/tuner. Tuner means nothing more than it can be used for a synchro summon. Synchro summoning works by using cards equal to a synchro monster's level. One of those creatures needs to be a tuner. The other ones need to be non-tuner creatures. They can be any other sort of creature, but you cannot use two tuners. Only one of the creatures may be a tuner, and you need one creature to be a tuner. So Rose is a tuner, Tourbus is not a tuner. Their combined levels are 7. So I could send them both to the graveyard to synchro summon Lightning Warrior. Now it is also important, just like with the fusion summon, sometimes the creatures require a specific tuner or type of card. Lightning Warrior does not, Magic Android does not. Drill Warrior requires you to use Drill Synchron, which is a specific tuner. Other ones might require Earth monsters, an Earth tuner, a Light tuner, or any combination of that. It is important to pay attention to the synchro monsters and what they require. Also, it is important to look at the tuners. They also might have a requirement as to what synchro monsters you may summon with them. Exceed monsters are the newest creature to reside in the extra deck, and I believe personally to be the most balanced. They do not require a specific type of monster. They do not require a spell. Merely, they require so many creatures of a specific level. Exceeds do not have a level, they have a rank. A rank 3, such as number 20, requires 2 level 3 monsters, as it is written underneath its type. So if I have Tourbus and I have Dandelion, what I then do to exceed summon is I overlay those creatures, and those creatures need to be summoned on the field. You cannot exceed from your hand. You stack those creatures on top of one another, and then put the exceed monster on top. Those creatures used stay underneath the exceed monster, and are now material. Material is used for the effects of the exceed monsters. So this one is once per turn, you can detach. Detach is you take a monster from underneath the exceed and you put it in the graveyard. It is not discarding, it is not destroying, it is putting into the graveyard. And then you gain his ability. Creatures that have effects that are destroyed or discarded do not activate when detached. However, effects like Dandelion and Tourbus that merely say when this card is sent to the graveyard, those effects still activate. Exceed monsters may as well also require a certain number of creatures and a certain type. Black Ray requires 2 level 3 water monsters. Terabyte requires 3 level 3 monsters for its Exceed summon. If an Exceed monster is special summoned from the graveyard, they do not get material monsters upon their special summoning. They merely get the materials when they are Exceed summoned. If you have any questions about any of the monsters I went over, please feel free to leave a comment. Next time I will be going over the different types of spells and traps in more detail, as well as the confusing chain system. Thank you.